All right, moving on. Next one is Seth. He says, "Hey guys, I love your work. Wondering if you know if any good appointment setting must be of any good appointment setting freelancers or services to help us build our initial pipeline." I, in fact, do. Attaché and his team from Eagle Info Services is they're awesome. And in fact, by the way, Adam and Chris, I think he's got his email issue resolved because I've started getting a lot of sales calls booked again through Attaché. Like just this week, it really picked back up again. So I think he's resolved the domain issues that we were having. Anyway, guys, reach out to this. I'm going to put this in chat. And in case Seth is not on the webinar right now, Seth, I'm going to, and especially because this was from last week, for everyone else's benefit, it's Eagle Infoservices.com. The guy that runs this, his name is Attaché. They're awesome. It's a great team to work with. In fact, my testimonial video is on here, I'm sure. Right there. There's my fat face. But it's a great service. It's a bit expensive. There's a setup fee, and then you're paid per booked appointment. I'm not going to tell what I pay per booked appointment because it may have changed, but it's expensive. But you only pay for booked appointments when they show up. So in other words, if they book the appointment, and they handle 100% of it, they do all the email warming, so they set up the domains, they do the email warming. You have to fill out a customer avatar sheet, workbook or whatever, like a survey, essentially. It's in a Google sheet, at least it was when I did it. Which, by the way, that's painful. Filling out the customer avatar is painful if you don't already have that developed. Customer persona or avatar, whatever you want to call them. If you don't already have that developed, you're going to need to do that if you're going to use Attaché services. But it's a very valuable exercise regardless, because you should have a well-defined customer avatar so that you can craft all of your messaging specifically to that type of person or business owner, whatever. That makes sense. So that's why I said Attaché's process is good, because it forces you to define your customer avatar, very well. And then he takes all of that data and creates cold email campaigns, and he'll do LinkedIn, and he'll scrape, he'll ask you if you are members of any groups in Facebook and LinkedIn and things like that are relevant to your industry. And anyway, long story short, once he gets it all set up, starts delivering booked appointments. And the only time you pay is you pay if they show up. If they no show, you fill out a form and tell them, nope, didn't show up. And then you say, do you want us to follow up, or did you follow up with them? You can choose to do that or not, depending on you, or what you want to do. But he's been doing so well for me at Semantic Links. When I hired him last year, I think in April of last year is when I hired them, that we ended up hiring them for Local Fury, and in the future we'll be using them for some other projects as well. So I can't say enough good things about him and his team. They're just responsive, and I highly recommend going with these guys. They're really good. And in my opinion, the amount of effort and time that goes into getting everything set up and configured properly and doing all the outreach, unless you have somebody in-house that is going to manage all of that for you, just outsource it, because it's an enormous amount it's very valuable, but it takes a lot of time. And I would rather pay him for booked appointments that show up, that I have a pretty high closing rate, at least for the Semantic Links appointments I do, for sure. And so in my opinion, even on a low to medium competition subscription for Semantic Links, I break even on month 2 off of that. So as long as my client that I acquire, even on the lowest subscription plan, stays with me for a minimum of 2 months, I broke even on that. If that makes sense. So, and in fact, my margins are increased a little bit. So I might even be slightly profitable on month 2 on the lead, if that makes sense. So great service. Can't say enough good things about Attaché, guys. Let him know that I referred you to. I don't get any credit for it other than, well, actually, I think he does give me one booked appointment for free if you sign up with him. So, but I do it just for the sake that, Attaché is a good guy, and his service is very valuable. So I endorse it 100%. Okay.